All right, let's talk about Joel Osteen, the guy basically swimming in money, but instead of Scrooge McDuck's vault, it's a $10.5 million castle in Houston. And, yeah, he's got a spare $3 million house just, sitting vacant. Happens to the best of us. Every week, he pulls in 45,000 people like it's a Taylor Swift stadium show. Millions more are tuning in from probably every time zone on Earth. There isn't a much bigger celebrity in American Christianity, unless you count like Jesus. Oh, and if you want to hear him in person, fork over $15. Because, apparently, the road to salvation comes with Ticketmaster fees now. His name's Joel Osteen. And, honestly, I had no idea what I was actually looking at until I started peeling back a few layers. On the surface, it's a sparkly feel-good operation. But do even the tiniest bit of digging, and let's just say you'll want to grab popcorn. So, back to the beginning, because believe it or not, it's not just a bunch of slick suits and prosperity platitudes. Joel landed on this planet in 1963, in Houston, one of 6 kids with a hardcore preacher dad, John Osteen. But John wasn't your run-of-the-mill Baptist, not after 1958 anyway. That's when his daughter Lisa was born with all sorts of severe disabilities. And something inside John just cracked wide open. Faith healing, charismatic Christianity, the whole thing. He and his wife Dodie decided regular church just wasn't cutting it anymore. So in 1959, they started Lakewood Church, inside an abandoned feed store. Yeah, 234 seats. Probably still smell like horses. And that dusty little spot? That became ground zero for the Osteen empire. Joel grew up smack in the middle of it, but here's the weird part. He wanted nothing to do with preaching. Nada. While his siblings were getting up on stage, Joel was fiddling around with lights and editing Dad's sermons. He even bounced to Oral Roberts University for a hot minute, allegedly to study TV production or something, then dropped out back to Houston, spending 17 years making sure his father didn't repeat a suit on screen like some sort of ministry stylist turned editor. His dad, always nudging him to preach. Joel, hard pass. You're the preacher. I'll keep you looking sharp on television. Relatable. Then January 1999, Dad finally convinces him, just once, to get up there and preach. Joel gives a go. Next thing you know, 6 days later, John Osteen's heart gives out. Gone. Suddenly, Joel's running a church of 6,000 members. No theology degree, no training, no clue. He didn't even want it. Most people were betting he'd crash. But for whatever reason, something switched on. Fast forward 5 years and Lakewood is now pulling in somewhere between 25,000 and 30,000 people for weekly services. That's Super Bowl numbers. In 2003, Joel signs the papers to lease the old Compaq Center right out from under the city of Houston. 16,000 seats, once home to the Rockets, remade it for $95 million with waterfalls and 5 floors and 200,000 square feet of, well, everything. July 16, 2005, place is jam-packed. Up to here, you can see why people are impressed. But this is where the questions start. Because Joel's message is weirdly cheerful, no fire and brimstone, no reminders that you're a total sinner and better repent before flames start licking your toes. It's all about hope, chasing dreams, and reminding yourself God's practically your life coach. Critics sneer and call it Christian light. His crowd doesn't care at all. They walk in, feel like $1 million, and come back for more. And then his first book, Your Best Life Now, straight up shreds the charts. 500,000 copies gone in 3 months. Then 1 million by May 2005. New York Times bestseller list for almost 4 years. For millions sold worldwide. He follows it up and bam, $13 million just from the next book. His speaking gigs? Oh, only $100,000 to $200,000 per stop. By 2017, Lakewood is raking in $55 million a year, running an overall annual budget of $90 million. Here's where I literally stopped and went, hold up, $90 million budget? How much of that actually goes to helping people? Answer, 1.3%. Yep, That's about $1.2 million for missions and outreach. Meanwhile, $25 million goes to the TV ministry, $31.7 million to weekly services, and more millions toward admin and fundraising and, church stuff. Joel says he hasn't taken a church salary since 2004 and makes all his money from books and gigs. Seems legit, except the numbers make you squint a little. But hey, behind the smile is Victoria. Met her in '85 at a jewelry shop. He needed a watch battery. She was studying psychology. Married in '87. She's not just the wife. She's co-pastor, co-author, co-brand. Her first book dropped 750,000 copies out the gate. Their kids? Preaching, singing, fully part of the family business. So, the doctrine, prosperity gospel. In short, if you believe enough, God will slide that bag of cash and good health right over to you. Pay your bills, never get sick. The whole thing's possible if you say the right prayers. People eat this up like it's motivational ice cream. Theologians, meanwhile, are calling it heresy. Some call it Christianity without a cross, which, that's a tough look, because the unspoken message here, if you're broke or ill, you just didn't believe hard enough. That's almost cruel, honestly. Joel's presentation? Polished. No notes, just memory and rehearsal. The man's basically an actor, nailing it to the second for the TV broadcast. His dad did deep Bible dives. Joel's more like Tony Robbins with some Bible verses taped on at the end. Still, the numbers are insane. It works. Then comes 2017. Hurricane Harvey submerges Houston. People are trapped everywhere, desperate for shelter. Lakewood Church, massive, dry, perfect. Posts that the building is inaccessible due to flooding. But, locals walked over, shot videos. Bone dry. Suddenly, everyone online collectively loses it. Open Lakewood Church. Explodes across social. Mattress stores are sheltering people instantly while Lakewood is locked. Days go by. Joel stays radio silent. Eventually they open up, but PR-wise, the trust tanked in probably record speed. Fast forward to 2020. Pandemic. Lakewood pockets a $4.4 million forgivable government loan meant for small, struggling businesses, mind you, while, again, pulling in nearly $90 million annually. America did not take that well. Church returned the money. Said none of it personally went to Joel, but people weren't really buying it. Then, February of 2024. This one's rough. A woman named Janessa Moreno shows up at Lakewood Church with an AR, 15, and her 7-year-old son. She claims there's a bomb, opens fire in a hallway. Police shoot back. Moreno's killed. In the chaos, her little boy is hit in the head, winds up losing part of skull, part of his brain, survives. But the entire community is wrecked. And people had warned the church about her. She had mental illness, a criminal record, bought that AR legally because Texas, no red flag laws. Nothing stopped her. Joel responds with, you guessed it, hope, prayers for everyone, even Moreno. Some people genuinely feel comforted. Others stare at the ceiling, thinking, could we maybe talk about mental health or gun access? But the real issues just hang there unanswered. And now the question, where does Lakewood go from here? Young people are bailing on church faster than Blockbuster memberships. 16% of millennials, 15% of Gen Z are showing up, lowest ever. They want authenticity, community, something real, not millionaires preaching prosperity in former NBA arenas. Joel Osteen built something ridiculous in a literal sense. From a smelly feed store to America's most watched preacher. From a guy ducking the pulpit to center stage in a sports arena. You can't argue with the numbers. But look, the story is church sells and the story the numbers tell, they don't exactly add up. And at the end of it, I just keep circling back to this. If the message is supposed to be about blessing and faith and doing actual good, why does the money almost never seem to land there? Not going to tell you what to think about the guy. But when an organization this massive, this rich, this public, keeps getting hit with the same questions over and over, you got to admit, the questions themselves start to look like the real story. Maybe that's where you should be looking.